Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
April 21, 2020, the oil below $1 a barrel edition. First up, from the Financial Times, the Norwegian Oil Wealth Fund, or the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Norway, is hit by an expenses scandal, a conflict of interest scandal. The incoming and outgoing chief executive of Norway's $1 trillion sovereign wealth fund are embroiled in an expenses scandal that raised questions over the leadership of it. The current CEO is due to step down in September, admitted over the weekend he should not have accepted a charter flight back from a seminar paid by the hedge fund billionaire who will become the next chief executive. The conflict of interest question raises additional questions about the selection process for the Sovereign Wealth Fund's chief executive, as well as the cozy relationship at the heart of the Norwegian financial elite. Norway's Attorney General has had to stand down in matters regarding the incoming president, and it is, for the Norwegians, a huge foobar. Also from the Financial Times, Andrew Hill's always great on management column talks about how COVID-19 has laid bare managers' efficiency obsession. He is able to compare or contrast the current COVID crisis from the Deepwater Horizon disaster, which occurred 10 years ago yesterday, and we talked about in yesterday's podcast. But the obsession for efficiency has led to massive supply chain dislocation, and some fat in the supply chain may be necessary going forward. Apparently, business leaders misunderstood or didn't understand the part about Edward Deming's theory on efficiency, because there has to be room for error or a margin of error, and there's currently not, and this has really decimated supply chains worldwide. And our title story comes from the Wall Street Journal. The U.S. oil futures plunged below zero for the first time ever, certainly even in my lifetime, as long as that may be. A chaotic demonstration of the dwindling capacity to store the world's crude oil. The United States wanted to be energy sufficient, but somehow the Trump administration forgot that if you're going to pump more oil than anywhere in the world, you've got to store that oil somewhere. And storage capacity is at a full amount here in the United States. That leaves tankers, but you got to send the tanker somewhere. And of course, since America has pissed off all its allies, it doesn't have anybody to sell it to. And the summer travel season looks like it won't happen because of COVID-19. So just unmitigated disaster in the oil patch. And finally, business travel has stopped and no one knows when it will come back. Everyone have to learn how to be comfortable around people in large airports, on crowded planes, at convention sites, etc. So when, if any, will business travel return is an open question. Certainly it's not going to pick up even if the Trump administration lifts restrictions on travel. There may be restrictions on state-to-state travel. Certainly there'll be restrictions on international travel. So when will business travel return? At this point, no one knows. I hope you have checked out my new podcast on compliance and coronavirus that I started to bring sanity and clarity to the compliance practitioner. I am having as diverse a input of stories that I can, from successfully working at home to navigating compliance during the difficult times, and a wide variety of others. So check out Compliance and Coronavirus. It comes up Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 9 a.m. on the Compliance Podcast Network. You're staying safe, self-distancing, and isolating during this time. Thank you for listening. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.